just thought we would, last time we were in Bookshop Santa Cruz, in fact, it was about 6 years ago when Susan's first book, Buddhist Dogs, came out. And we decided that rather than do separate readings, we would just sort of bounce off each other and read poems and, see what that inspired in each of us to do. So we decided to do that again tonight. But we're going to start by each of us deciding to read a poem by the other. So I think Susan's going to start reading one of mine, and then I'm going to read one of hers, and then we're going to just see what happens.
Spontaneous. Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction. So, a poem by Addonizio. For you, I undress down to the sheaths of my nerves. I remove my jewelry and set it on the nightstand. I unhook my ribs, spread my lungs flat on the chair. I dissolve like a remedy in water, in wine. I spill without staining, and leave without stirring the air. I do it for love. For love, I disappear.
You just read all my poems now? I think you should just read mine and vice versa. There, so take this. All right, this is called Manners. This is a new one, actually. I think this is coming out somewhere or other soon. Manners. Address older people as sir or ma'am, unless they drift slowly into your lane as you aim for the exit ramp. Don't call anyone dickhead, fuckface, or asshat. These terms are reserved for ex-boyfriends, or anyone who once let get past second base and later wished would be sucked into a sinkhole. Yelling obscenities at the TV is okay as long as sports are clearly visible on the screen, but it's rude to mutter at the cleaning products in Safeway. Also rude, mentioning bodily functions. Therefore, sentiments such as, I went balls to the walls for her, or I have to piss like a chick with a pelvic disorder at a kegger contest are best left unexpressed. Don't say chick, which is demeaning to the billions of sentient creatures jammed in sheds miserably pecking for millets. Don't talk about yourself. Ask questions of others in order to show your interest. How do you like my poem so far? Do you think I'm pretty? What would you give up to make me happy? Don't open your raincoat to display your nakedness. Fondling a penis in public is problematic, though Botero's black sculpture of a fat man in the Time Warner building in New York, his pee-pee rubbed gold, seems to be an exception. Please lie to me about your pedophilia and the permafrost layer. Stay in bed on bad hair days. When the pulley of your childhood unwinds the laundry line of your dysfunction, here is a list of items to shove deep in the dryer. Disturbed brother's t-shirt, depressed mother's socks and tennis racket, tie worn by soused father driving the kids home from McDonald's Raw Bar. If you refuse your host's offer of alcohol, it is best to say, I'm so hungover the very thought of drinking makes me feel like projectile vomiting. Or, no thank you, it interferes with my medications. Hold your liquor whenever it is fearful and lonely, whenever it needs your love. Don't interrupt me while I'm battering. Divorce your cell phone in a romantic restaurant. Here's an example of a proper thank you card. Thank you for not sharing with me the extrusions of your vague creative impulse. Thank you for not believing those lies everyone spreads about me, and for opening the door to the next terrifying moment. And thank you especially for not opening your mouth while I'm trying to digest my roast chicken.
Don't know what to do. I have no manners in my book. That's good. Let's see. I'm gonna read a new poem. I just grab one and just, oh no, that's not it. That's not the poem. That's not. I seem to have, here it is. All right. This actually was given, I did this poem as an exercise from a class with Kim. So this goes along. It was to write about a brief history of something, a brief history of the world, you know, a brief history of the refrigerator, a brief history of my life. A brief history of my life. I was conceived in a Motel 6 in Henderson, Nevada, down the road from an atomic bomb testing site during a chain lightning storm. Mom was scared, having been nearly fried by a bolt when she was 10 while riding her bike in Paradise, a mining town formerly known as Poverty Ridge and famous for buffalo nickels and orange dirt. But she still managed to roll out from under the bed and grab Dad, still shell-shocked from surviving the massacre at Omaha Beach. They pooled their resources and hit the jackpot of Moat. And shortly thereafter, I pondered howdy doody, concerned about the existential oddness of breathing, puppetry, and why our pet parrot kept yelling, muy baracho. Soon, I fell in love continuously, most notably with a clown. He didn't mind juggling, but I lost him like a sock. So eloped with a sword swallower. He didn't last long. Disconsolate, I invented a perfume. Destroyed. Which no one bought. Then I got a job, judging odors, turned loss into a religion, and settled down to epiphanies. 63 billion years passed, and for a lot of it, I was dead. But the minute I mused, maybe we aren't evolving or devolving, but revolving, Mom pedaled by, Dad on the handlebars playing the accordion, and with each press of the bellows, lightning bolted out of Mom's head. "What are you doing in paradise?" she asked. "Waiting for you," I said. So I'm going to sulk as usual. There's so many points.
Well, this is, I guess, a brief history of another kind. You were the bride of gin, bride of men you followed home and let fuck you, only to discover that they already had a woman who would never know what you had done with her man, never know what a shit she was married to. You were enamored of impulse, tearing flower heads from sidewalk squares that had converted from cement to soil. How pure your longing to be anything other than yourself. How difficult to extricate the stem, only to hold the scattering, brooding petals, and how you longed for that stem. Little former horror, self you have almost outgrown. Think of Clydia pining for Apollo, her whole face turned toward an idea of heaven. Think of the faces turned toward you now, as you recite from the myth you have made, all of them listening to you. Of all flowers, you.
This is kind of hard to do. Anyway, it's just really great. What a wonderful turnout. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Treat. Wow. You're actually here, you're actually listening to us. This is, you know, I mean, seriously, this is, you know, who listens to poetry anymore? Who gives a shit about poetry anymore? This is amazing. You know? You people are here and you know, you could be watching TV. I like TV a lot, so it's big for me to go out and watch TV and drink a bottle of wine and sitting at home, you know, but you're here and it's, you know. All right, your turn. Where are we going?
How about, well, I was just really moved that, is it John? John introduced me? Tom, I'm sorry. Because we haven't met each other. Tom, and thank you for that beautiful introduction. Gosh. And so you mentioned the coonskin cat, so I thought I'd read that one. Yeah, when I was a kid, I wore Davy Crockett. I got a Davy Crockett coonskin cap and just wouldn't take it off. I still have it, Kim. I'm wearing it tonight in the hotel room. Just King of the wild frontier. I'm so young. I wear my Davy Crockett coonskin cap all day and won't take it off, not even when I go to bed. I'm so young. I wonder if maybe Davy was a girl, like me before becoming king of the wild frontier. I'm so young. I adore my crazy parents who drink water and olives out of wide-mouthed laughing glasses, who dance and sing, and my father calls me the dog's name. I'm so young. I chase next door Tommy with a spoon into his house and smack him on the head until he bleeds. And my head's bleeding too, where he hit me first with the spoon, and we both scream, and our mothers can't stop us. I sit with an egg on my head on Tommy's porch the next morning, waiting for him to come outside so I can see his egg, and we'll play buckets and anything with sand. I'm so young. There's nothing better than the palm tree's hair swishing green in the blue breeze, and salt on my skin mixed with sunshine and fudgesicle. I'm so young. I never think of God, but the day I almost drown, I know the dark sea loves me.
And write a praise poem, which went pretty quickly to the dark side as usual. I want to mention that we do have this CD, Swearing, Smoking, Drinking, and Kissing, which is Susan and I both doing our poems, sometimes separately, sometimes together. We've got some musicians on there. It's a really cool little CD that we made a few years ago, and it's usually $10, but if you buy one of our books tonight, you get it for $5. So just thought we should mention that. And because, we don't read together all that often. No. We actually did this CD that we made together, that we recorded together, and which was really fun. Shot a product, yeah. It was really fun to make, and,
It's a really great CD.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we had a lot of fun making it. And some of it was a little rough because actually, the guy, one of our principal musicians on it, actually killed himself. And what happened was that actually the idea of the CD came about after this guy had killed himself. But he had recorded our rehearsals because we were supposed to do something with music up in Catalina for something or other, and we were supposed to work with a musician. So we worked with this guy rehearsing all this stuff, and he happened to record it. And so when it came time to sort of, I heard that stuff, and I went, well, that's actually pretty good. So some of it's a little rough because they were actually rehearsal takes, and we never had a chance to do another one because, unfortunately, the musician, went off to Hawaii and hung himself. But, we just ended up putting that together with some other stuff we had. And Stanley Kunitz's son-in-law, former son-in-law, his daughter, Gretchen, was my student for a while, and her husband, he was still her husband at the time, played saxophone. So he ended up collaborating on some of the cuts with us, which was really fun, too. So it turned into a kind of a cool thing that kind of fell together in some ways, and it wouldn't have happened except that Norton, when they published my last book, I really wanted them to do a CD with it, and they said, no, we can't do that. So I said, well, fuck it, I'll make my own. And then I asked Susan to do it, and we made a much better thing, I think, than we would have had with Norton in the end. So anyway, this is called God Owed. This is my praise poem. Praise having a body to be unhappy in. Suffering the slings and staring unbelieving at the arrows bristling from your chest as the Indians creep closer. Praise the oil slick of your loneliness, the suffocated little shorebirds of your longing. Here's to the scribbles of alcohol seeping into the cell walls, the reeling mitochondria, the deceased brain cells carried out in coffinets of sweat. Gratitude, gratitude to whoever knelt down and shat upon the floor of the portalet at the children's playground, where I had to pee last Saturday after pushing my young friend on the tire swing, after whomping down the curving tube slide again and again upside down on my back. Small happiness followed by nausea. Thank you. Thank you, you demented, you disapproving or possibly AWOL higher power. How high is that anyway? Higher than me and my grown-up friend doing ecstasy in the desert, getting cut up by cactus, floating back to the house, finding water for once more delicious than wine. Praise you in your airy, your maybe not there crag. Down here on the darkling, fattening plain, we root and toil, and sometimes, mercifully, we spin.
Spinning, spinning, spinning. Well, I think the Zen has something to say about that, the spinning. If not now, when? You wake to the birds' heavy metal and the knowledge that more people are killed by donkeys than in plane crashes. You read this last night and it's stuck in your brain, part of your toxic thought syndrome, like pondering how 2,500 left-handed people are killed annually from using right-handed products. You get up and do a few laps in the coffee pot. Can coffee kill you? Consciousness, your own personal guru, watches mind, like the sky of the air observing turbulence. Like everyone else's, most of your thinking is repetitive. At your desk, you roll up your sleeves and write another poem about death. We came home from the hospital, sat in the family room, Dad cried into the couch, then said, "Mom's never been dead before." You don't feel like making a transition to the next stanza because you don't have 3,000 years. Your sister talks to her husband's ashes that are in a black enamel box on her dresser between the eternity perfume bottle and a dish of earrings. "Hello, dearie," she says in the morning on her way to the shower, and in the evening curls up on the bed and discusses her day. Finally, after 2 years, her children convince her to scatter the ashes. She doesn't want to carry the black box in the golf cart. Too conspicuous, no cremains allowed on the fairway. So she asks your advice, but a glad bag is wrong. She decides on Tupperware. "Where does the soul go when the body dies?" asked Aldous Huxley. "There is no necessity for it to go anywhere," answered Jacob Boehme. You met God when you were 9 years old. You rode your bicycle up the hill behind your neighborhood, stood in the mustard weed, and listened to the eucalyptus leaves clapping. The sky swallowed you, and you swallowed the sky, orange and pink, and you brimmed with ecstasy and grief. Then you came down the hill for love. Besides Aldous, there are only 4 words in the English language that end in thus: stupendous, tremendous, horrendous, and hazardous. Even if someone shoots you in the head, don't take it personally. After all, 13 people are killed annually by vending machines falling on them. At any one time, 0.7% of the world's population is drunk. This seems like an unbelievably low estimate. The average person laughs 15 times a day. This is not enough. Your sister phones, says she hasn't had any hot dates lately. Actually, she hasn't had any. She's kind of sad this week because it's almost another year of Dave being gone. But she's going to a party tomorrow. This is life, she says, and she has to pick it up a notch. You don't ask her the Zen question, what, at this moment, is lacking? You say, let's go shopping. or strappy shoes.
It's a little timely right now. I wrote about the tsunami of December 26, 2004, and of course now we're waiting for the nuclear cloud to come and envelop us all. So, another day on Earth. And there's a mention here of the Akashic Angel, which is sort of my invention, but the Akashic Record is this idea that everything that happens anywhere in the world is recorded in the ether, sort of in the Akashic realm. And I thought, well, what if there were an angel and that was their job, to record all these things? So, another day on Earth, and this is for the tsunami, December 26, 2004. Souls were arriving, souls were departing, amid the usual screaming and crying. A lot of drinks were being tossed back. A lot of women were thinking about their hair. People were loving the quiet as snow fell, burying the cars. More than one man was thinking about his penis. Birds were landing on statues, birds were snapping up insects. Prisoners were tending invisible flowers in their cells. A lot of televisions were feeling vaguely spiritual. A lot of shoes were hurting. A lot of hearts had fallen from the trees and were skittering along in the wind. All the oceans suddenly realized they were one ocean, whereupon the Akashic Angel, whose job it is to record each moment's folding and unfolding, paused and went on, furiously writing.
Hummus. No, wait a minute. I'm always getting this wrong. Wait a minute. I think it's humus. H-U-M-U-S? What is it? It's humus. I say hummus. How can this be hummus? You eat hummus.
Spelled it actually H-U-M-U-S, I think it's actually humus.
It's humus. That's what I meant. After working with people all day and driving home surrounded by people, we relax in the evening with people and watch television shows of people. Many of them working, driving, and watching television shows. When we go to bed, hopefully with another person, we read a novel about people. Deep in the night, we dream of people who are supposedly ourselves. In the morning, we can't wait to check our email to see if someone left a message. Home from work again, we race to the mailbox, yearning for a letter from none other than a person. On the weekend, we go to a movie, and among wall-to-wall people, stare at people on the screen. The bars and restaurants are crammed with people to eat and drink with, and hopefully at least one person to go to bed with. In school, sociology shows us how people live. Biology explains how people reproduce. And psychology guesses how people think. Archaeology studies ancient people's skulls and jawbones, and the first fork people invented. At the grocery store, we stand in a line of people reading People magazine. Many people attend church on Sunday. A popular belief is that after we die, we come back as people. Another favorite notion, we go through a tunnel of light, and at the end, who's there to meet us? People. Forget God, there are people.
In the lonely universe, the moon gets up as usual, heads for the refrigerator or bathroom, then lies awake, longing for the Xanax it resembles. Sex is a fantasy and a spasm. Music is a slasher movie, beauty stalked by horror. Single notes aren't really single. They're out on the sidewalks, sipping lattes with their flats and sharps, their invisible naturals. That song about Galileo and reincarnation sends you into hysteria at warp speed. So do green Toyota trucks, each with your ex at the wheel. You open the box with the new lamp, and the packing explodes into styroflakes clinging all over you. It's white in the lonely universe. Also, you have to assemble things, following instructions in a language that doesn't quite exist. Please rate the last movie you rented using our system of stars. Upstairs, the newlyweds vacuum late into the night.
Okay. For goodness sake. All right. Hard to believe. We stood by our mother's grave in black silk sheaths. She taught us to be stylish, whatever the occasion. Death or gardening or playing poker. My younger sister couldn't afford a dress, so had bought one at Nordstrom, a store known to take everything back. As the priest intoned the Valley of the Shadow, I whispered in my sister's ear that the white sales tag was flagging out from her armpit. Then our father climbed into the grave. His best friend, Mad Dog, nicknamed for what he did in the war and in bars across the free world, grabbed a handful of soup coats saying, "Get out of that trench, Bobby B." The dew on the cemetery grass glittered like diamonds. My mother loved diamonds. Her birthstone, brilliant and hard. When she discovered she was dead, she'd say, "I could spit bullets." I wanted a God, not fuzzy light at the end of the tunnel, someone kind and funny for my mother, a mixture of the Dalai Lama and Dorothy Parker. I was waiting, though, to see the coffin lid slam open and my mother rise up yelling, "No way, Jose." We threw the weird wilted roses without thorns on the beige casket. I imagined my mother demanding to speak to the manager. "Beige? Are you out of your mind?" Wanting another color, a different style, or she was going elsewhere. After the funeral, my two sisters and I linked arms, walking carefully in our high heels across the shimmering glades of East Lawn Mortuary. Sometimes when I look in the bathroom mirror, I see my mother rummaging around in the drawer for her eyebrow pencil, mascara, and rouge, asking, "Where's my face?"
Called salvation. I am a moat. I fade to insignificance daily. At least I'm a part of something, an extremely tiny part. I sing in the moat choir, naked and ruined. In the lamplight I drift over the page. In the produce aisle I'm the slow hiss of mist over the broccoli. I am a paramecium of the imagination. I am a bindi on the third eye of a dust bunny. An immigrant with a rag is my destroyer. Among the moats of rain I descend, but so do you. Even God is a moat, adored by other moats. I lift up mine eyes to the clouds. Who among you will be my love specks? Soon we shall seep, deep in the earth, the undone moats. Look, the ashes we scattered are sparking on the sea.
In the art gallery, the painting of flowers next to the painting of flames. And I remember that time years ago when the psychiatrist said, "You feel too much. You are too sensitive. Take these." Giving me a bottle of pills, I took them to the beach. Watched light become flame on the water, and along the ragged cliffs, small flowers like blue stars, the world of painting I couldn't live in. I opened the bottle, then put it down, pills spilling on the sand. Waves carried the flames and didn't mind the burning, the arising from and disappearing into the vastness. I swam, let the waves take me, then tread water looking at the sky, a silver tray full of the most beautiful nothing. I swam back. The water was black. I could sink beyond caring, but I wanted to live. To be there with the beauty and the burning, and let it be too much.
How many of you in here write poetry? Show of hands? Yeah, I thought so. All right. So you will have fun maybe picking up all the many allusions in this poem. And even if you don't, hopefully it will say something. And the first reference is to Cat Stevens, so nothing else that will come through. The first line is the deepest. I have been one acquainted with the spatula, the slotted, scuffed, Teflon-coated spatula that lifts a solitary hamburger from pan to plate, acquainted with the vibrator known as the pocket rocket, and the dildo that goes by Tex. And I have gone out a drunken bitch in order to ruin what love I was given. And also I have measured out my life in little pills, Zoloft, Restoril, Celexa, Xanax. For I am a poet. It is my job, my duty, to know wherein lies the beauty of this degraded body. Or maybe it's the degradation in the beautiful body, the ugly me, groping back to my desk to piss on perfection, to lay my kiss of mortal confusion upon the mouth of infinite wisdom. My kiss says razors and pain. My kiss says America is charged with the madness of God. Sundays, too, the soldiers get up early and put on their fatigues in the blue-black day. Black milk, black gold, Texas tea. Into the valley of Halliburton rides the infantry. Why does 1 month have to be the cruelest? Can't they all be equally cruel? I have seen the best gamers of your generation, joy sticking their M1 tanks through the sewage-filled streets. Whose world this is, I think I know. So let's see. Okay, we've got Cat Stevens, Robert Frost, Anne Sexton, T.S. Eliot, Dorothy Parker's in there, Razors and Pain, Groping Back to My Desk to Piss, that's Philip Larkin. America's Charged with the Madness of God, Hopkins, Sundays too, the soldiers got up early, that's what's, Robert Hayden, that great poem about his father, Black Milk, Black Gold, Texas Tea, Salon to the Beverly Hillbillies, yes! What else? And then Eliot again, and Ginsberg and Frost, so that's,
I want to play tennis.
That was beats me every time.
That was
just,
that is a really good poem, Kim. You finally,
such a bad.
it's a really good poem. Like the one you wrote that was good. All right. I don't know what to do with that. I just don't know what to do with that. That's just too awesome. All right. Yeah, just
Maybe, I don't know.
one or two more.
Yeah, there's some questions from
Then we'll
the
set-
board.
Oh wait, is this?
Okay, well maybe we should read one each.
Yes.
Talk a little bit and
Did you read you?
you.
You were
Okay.
a town with one table.
Two clerics hacked to death in the city. I just love that, so let me say it again. The alliteration alone is admirable, and the cadence nothing better than iambic pentameter. Two clerics hacked to death in Holy City. Man, that's got swing. Ring-a-ding. And an action verb, I can really feel it, hack. I can almost see it, hack, hack, hack. Talk about a wake-up call. This morning I'm reading the news, checking in with the war, when like music to my ears, two clerics hacked to death in Holy City. It should win the Pulitzer, or maybe the Nobel. But then I turn the page and listen to this. A 5-year-old aims his Kalishnikov. Such lovely triple rhythms, a natural progression. And I can't wait to hear tomorrow's song. The harmonics of humanity, the croon of carnage in every holy city.
I grew up Catholic, as you did, actually. We both grew up Catholic, and we had the Baltimore Catechism, which asked all the hard questions and then answered them. Who made man? God made man. Why did God make man? To love, honor, and serve him. You know, that's all I ever learned. But there were more answers, but those were the only two I remember. So anyway, I wrote my own. This is called Storm Catechism. The gods are rinsing their just boiled pasta in a colander, which is why it is humid and fitfully raining down here in the steel sink of mortal life. Sometimes you can smell the truffle oil and hear the ambrosia being knocked back. Sometimes you catch a drift of laughter in that thundercrack. Zeus, knocking over his glass, spilling lightning into a tree. The tree shears away from itself and falls on a car, killing a high school girl. Or maybe it just crashes down on a few trash cans and the next day gets cut up and hauled away by the sea. Either way, hilarity. The gods are infinitely perfect, as is their divine mac and cheese. Where does macaroni come from? Where does matter? Why does the cat act autistic when you call her, then bat around a moth for an hour, watching intently as it drags its wings over the area rug? The gods were here first, and they're bigger. They always were and always will be living it up in their father's mansion. You only crawled from the drain a few millennia ago, after inventing legs for yourself so you could stand, inventing fists in order to raise them and curse the heavens. Do the gods see us? Will the waters be rising soon? The waters will be rising soon. Find someone or something to cling to. I end with that one. You want to
Buddhist Dog. Buddhist Dog. I think we're sort of on a spiritual roll here. Buddhist dogs. I'm at a day-long meditation retreat, 8 hours of watching my mind with my mind, and I already fell asleep twice and nearly fell out of my chair, and it's not even noon yet. In the morning session, I learned to count my thoughts, 10 in 1 minute, and the longest was to leave and go to San Anselmo and shop, then find an outdoor cafe and order a glass of Sancerre, smoked trout with roasted potatoes and baby carrots, and a bowl of gazpacho. But I stayed and learned to name my thoughts. So far they are wanting, 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 judgment, sadness. Don't identify with your thoughts, the teacher says. You are not your personality, not your ego identification. Then he bangs the gong for lunch. Whoever, whatever I am, is given instruction in the walking meditation and the eating meditation, and walks outside with the other meditators, and we wobble across the lawn like the night of the living dead. I meditate slowly, falling over a few times because I kept my foot in the air too long. Towards a bench, sit slowly down and slowly eat my sandwich, noticing the bread, sourdough, noticing the taste, tuna sourdough. Noticing the smell, sourdough tuna. Thanking the sourdough, the tuna, the ocean, the boat, the fisherman, the field, the grain, the farmer, the saran wrap that kept this food fresh for this body made of food and desire and the hope of getting through the rest of this day without dying of boredom. Sun, then cloud, then sun. I notice a maple leaf on my sandwich. It seems awfully large. Slowly brushing it away, I feel so sad. I can hardly stand it. So I name my thoughts. They're sadness about my mother, judgment about my father, wanting the child I never had. I notice I've been chasing the same thoughts like dogs around the same park most of my life. Notice the leaf tumbling gold to the grass. The gong sounds, and back in the hall, I decide to try lying down meditation and let myself sleep. The Buddha in my dream is me, surrounded by dogs, wagging their tails, licking my hands. I wake up for the forgiveness meditation, The teacher's saying, never put anyone out of your heart. And the heart opens and knows it won't last. And will have to open again and again, chasing those dogs around and around, in the sun, then cloud, then sun,